Dan's having some computer issues, so hold on for a few minutes. Who do we have on from the commission?
I'm here, Rebecca.
Amy, you're on site.
You can tell them here.
Commissioner Turkin is with me, Andrew.
Okay, excellent. We know Commissioner Hay is going to be on, or Vice Mayor Hay, and Commissioner Cruz.
Commissioner Kelly's here.
I did remind Vice Mayor about it. Let me text him and see if he's jumping on.
Okay, we'll wait for a minute then.
Hey, girl, what are you doing? Good luck. Pupper dog.
All right, I'm on, Andrew.
We're still waiting for Commissioner Cruz and Vice Mayor Hay.
Okay.
I'm on board. Cruz is here.
All right, so we got 1, 2, 3. All right, we got 3. We'll go ahead and get started. I know Commissioner or Vice Mayor Hay and Commissioner Turkin are both in Detroit, so on the economic development.
Commissioner Turkin's on with Adam.
Yeah, I'm here with Adam. Before we get started, I'd like to see if we can go ahead and add an agenda item for discussion of doing some form of memorial around the assassination of Charlie Kirk. I don't want to spend too much time on the sentiment of this, but I would like to add it on the agenda for Thursday.
We need consensus from
Yep, that's what I'm waiting on.
Is this something that could be handled administratively? Because this could get lengthy. I mean, I don't know. For me personally, like, I'm obviously not. I'm very saddened to hear about this. These kinds of things are just
and
unacceptable that these things happen.
The body to really pioneer and cool down the political partisanship that we've seen over the last decade, right? And this isn't about political party. This is not why I'm bringing this up. This is about a man who was a Christian first, a father, a husband, who spent and dedicated his life to promote civil discourse, conversation, and dialogue before animosity and violence. No different than Martin Luther King, no different than JFK. And so for me, I think we have an opportunity to have dialogue. We might have differences, from time to time as a body, but I think we've done a real good job of staying unified for ourselves, for our people, for our community. And I think it's worth a conversation to have, because what we've seen is absolutely horrific. This isn't about Republican, Democrat, independent. This is about right versus wrong, good versus evil. And I think as elected officials, it's our duty to work together, right? And be bold, because with boldness comes fortune and change.
I don't mind having a conversation, but I just want everyone to be aware that this is a very sensitive topic, and yeah, I don't know if I want to have a lengthy conversation on it. Probably not, but I do think that we can and we should look into what we can do. And maybe get some ideas from management and see what they propose.
I appreciate that, Commissioner Cruz. I think that's very admirable that you're willing to take a step in the direction of healing that this country obviously needs. And again, I want to reiterate, this is not about partisanship. This is about being an American, being a public servant, being a good steward of your community, and promoting civil and constitutional rights.
Anybody else around? Because that was two, but anybody else?
I don't have anything to say on this issue. I think it becomes very political. Even if you don't want it to be, it becomes
Mhm.
very, very political and divides a lot for us serving all parties and all constituent bases. And I think, there's just, it's no different than when we had to deal with the LGBTQ situation, and it's just very, very partisan, even though it's wrong. And I have so much empathy for his family and what happened. It just creates a lot of partisanship views of a commission politically. That's just a fact. That's not my opinion.
So I'm going to challenge that when you look at Martin Luther King and you look at his favorability when, obviously before he was assassinated, he only had a 33% favorability rate. Then after he unfortunately passed away and was assassinated, you then saw the increase of his message, right? This isn't about partisanship. This isn't about politics. The message of family, of unity, of being able to have dialogue and civil discourse over animosity and hate and violence transcends any partisanship. And now, for example, you see, I believe like a 94 or 95% favorability for Martin Luther King. So we have a road named after a former civil rights activist. I don't see how we can't even have dialogue, let alone establishing something. We can't even have dialogue around this, right? I understand.
I'm willing to discuss it. I just think that once you start getting constituents giving their opinion, it's going to be a very divided room.
And that's the problem. I think everyone can agree that murder is wrong. I think everyone can agree that we should have civil discourse and dialogue before getting violent.
If the mayor and Commissioner Cruz and also Commissioner Turkin, that's consensus, and we can add a discussion item if you guys are all in agreement with that.
I would like to have the discussion.
Are we good with adding the item for discussion?
Like I said, I don't mind having a discussion. But we do want to be like careful about how we go about it. It is a very sensitive topic, of
I mean,
course.
we have a very
Mm.
long agenda. Is it something that
Yeah.
maybe we can postpone to the following meeting? Because we do have a lot to go over
Mhm.
right now. And
I'm
people
just
want to come to the
afraid that
chambers and start
like
expressing their concerns.
kick the
I get
can
it.
down the road.
Well, if I commit to something on that, I'm not going to let that happen. But I do think that even by having this, when this gets out to the public, I politically can pretty much guarantee I'm going to get blown up on like in favor and not in favor. It's going to be so divided. So, I do know where I stand on the issue. And I think especially if it's using city property or things like that. Now, if somebody wanted to donate their property and they wanted to do it, of course, that's their right. And I'm not here to say no. I think once we start asking for it to be something that the city owns, we're going to be running into some problems. But I am willing to hear from the constituent base on this.
Can we all agree that it's like right that we have a designation for Martin Luther King in our city? Can we all agree on that?
Do you think times were a little different then?
Uh,
And I mean, in all honesty, if this was not a conservative, would we be having this conversation?
I think when you look at, so you can make the same argue point from the individual that I just stated, right? And again, you mentioned times are different. At that point in time, the favorability rating was 33%, and I say that, just to point out that, like, if we're worried about this being divisive, at that point in time, that was a very unpopular opinion. And for me, is not about partisanship. It's not that there's conservative or liberal views or Republican or Democrat. For me, it's that we saw a young husband, young father who dedicated his life for civil discourse, which I believe that every person on this body can agree that the political temperature and climate has been turned up over the last decade. And I think that everyone can agree that unity is better than animosity and hate. And again, I want to challenge that. I understand, Mayor, your perception of it being divisive, but I think that's the exact reason why we should do this together, because it's not about partisanship. It's about identifying that this man was assassinated, and his whole purpose was to provide civil discourse and dialogue and try to meet people in the middle to prevent violence, to prevent hate, to prevent animosity. So, what better way than to unify in the name of compassion and in the name of civil discourse versus animosity and violence? I mean, just last week, you had the Palm Beach County state legislator send a joint memo, Republicans, Democrats, saying that they condone violence and that they're supporting Charlie Kirk. So if if our state legislators who represent Palm Beach County are unifying, I don't see why we can't unify what is essentially a modern day martyr of civil rights, constitutional rights, and freedom of speech.
Well, clearly, people are not comfortable talking about it right now. So can we move on to the agenda and maybe pick this up at the end?
Yes, sure, man. We'll move on. So we'll start with 2B. It's going to propose resolution 25243 authorizing the annual comprehensive fee schedule rate changes for fiscal year 2025. I do want to address this briefly. There was a news story that came out earlier, I want to say it was last week, in reference to paid parking over on Ocean Avenue, right in front of City Hall, going all the way to Federal. That employee has since been separated from the city. There was no vote by the commission on this aspect. The only vote was to change the parking rates from $250 to $350. And there was actually a motion to reduce the annual parking passes for Harvey Order Park from 300 down to 100. And that was misquoted in the media. We sent a correction over. That employee acted unilaterally. And I want to, obviously, from the staff side of things, that should not have went forward to the media. You guys never voted on that. It shouldn't have never been done. So the only increase we have to parking fees were what was voted on with the oceanfront and also the Harvey Oyer. In addition to that, we did do this citation aspect of that to where we mirrored the village of Wellington. So I just want to clarify that was one instance. And I know Commissioner Kelly, she's the one that sent me the news story that kind of led me to like kind of look into it further. So I do want to appreciate that. So we did get that straightened out though. 2C is the authorizing the city commission to set rates, fees, charges, wastewater, stormwater, reuse water upcoming fiscal year and adopting preliminary rates through 28-29. That's your utility rate that we have talking about. Is Dr. Calcott on? I don't. Okay. Poonam, do you want to speak anything on 2C at all?
Sure. Thank you so much, Dan. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. This is Poonam Kalkat, Utilities Director, and I think I have done a presentation for all of you, and we've sat down and looked at what the needs are. And I really appreciate everybody sitting down with us, listening to what our reasoning is, logic behind it, data-driven kind of information that our rate consultant has brought forward. And this is what we are basing it on. We are requesting this. I have worked with the rate consultant to get a one-pager to explain what the utility rates go towards. So I'm going to pass that on this week to Dan and Andrew so they can pass it on to you all. I'm here to answer any questions, but I think we have explained this agenda item and the reasoning behind what we are requesting. And based on that, the other municipalities in the area, the expenses that the utility needs to have without being ever in profit, everything goes back into the infrastructure needs and running the utility operations, and then comparing to everybody else in the area as to what our cost of water is. All of those things were taken into consideration, but I am still committed to and always committed to look at affordability. We'll continue doing that and looking at ways that we can help some of our customers that have difficulty paying the bills. We already have payment plans, but besides that, I'm looking at what other options are there. Commissioner Kelly's brought some ideas forward. I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at a couple of other things from other institutions around US. But I'm here to answer any questions if there are any questions.
Thank you,
I
Dr.
don't have any
Calcott.
questions.
All right, no more questions. I'll move on to 2D, public hearing approval of the proposed resolution 25244, resolution of the city of Boynton Beach, Florida, adopting the final millage rate. If you guys remember, we reached a consensus for a 7.75 millage rate, which is 5.06% above the rollback rate of 7.37, providing for severability conflicts. Then we got a secondary resolution for adopting the final budget once we get consensus on that millage rate. So if there's no further questions, we'll move on to 3A.
Just one quick thing. Is there any way to add on the title? Because I feel like saying that it's 5.6% above the rollback rate, though it's factually correct, it makes it appear to a lot of residents that we're increasing taxes, which is absolutely not what we're doing. Any way to add a sentence in the title that says we're going from, what is it,
7.8. Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's actually a really good point, Commissioner
Yeah.
Cruz. I don't think we should have that's written
the title.
poorly. Can we get that corrected, Andrew? Because we're reducing the overall millage rate from 7.8 down to 7.75.
Correct.
And that's
So
not
if we could
mentioned.
make,
Stacy, do you want to, wait, I'm sorry to interrupt. Stacy, do you want to, I don't know that we can change it. I think legally we might have to have it there.
Is there any way to add the current rate as saying, leaving everything as is if legally necessary, but also being transparent about the fact that we're
Sure.
reducing the millage
Yeah,
rate
let
from
me-
7.8 to 7.75?
Yeah, if it's okay, Stacy and I'll do some research tomorrow. I just want to confirm before we change anything that we have everything that we need for legal purposes.
Yes.
And then
Okay.
we can tweak
Question.
it. And I understand what you're saying, Commissioner Cruz, with leaving that, but clarifying that it's still 0.05% lower than what it was.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Thank you so
we'll look
much.
into that and republish if necessary.
Thank
And
you.
if it can't be done, I'll be sure to email everyone.
Shauna, just a suggestion, if it can't be done, maybe we can do it where we do the staff recommendation. So since it's on the agenda, it's,
Okay.
it's somewhere where, residents can actually see it. So if we
Okay.
can't put it on the actual title, maybe we just put it on the suggested action where it says staff recommends approval. We can
Yeah,
put
and
it
maybe we
there.
can bold that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure something out for sure.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Maylee.
Maylee.
All right, thank you, guys. So 3A, we have one proclamation, which is the Alzheimer's Awareness Month proclamation. And Commissioner Cruz will read and present that proclamation. And Nina Sharp will be there from the Walk to End Alzheimer's for Palm Beach with the Alzheimer's Association. Public audience followed at number 4. 5.
Real quick, I'm sorry, Dan.
Yeah.
I know usually in administration, we have the community support funds. There are some community support funds for a few of the commissioners that are left over, and this is the last meeting for them to use it. So I'm not sure if you wanted me to let them know.
Hold on now. Those individuals that specifically, like I know the commission enacted it's either an ordinance or a policy to where they can't expend all of their community support funds or over only 50% of them if they're in their
Right.
last year.
So for
Next year.
for this current fiscal year,
So Commissioner
we've-
Kelly and also Vice Mayor Hay, those
But
two would be affected
that's
by
for
that.
next fiscal year.
Next fiscal year.
Correct.
Okay,
So
so
She's
once
just
it,
talking about extending what's left for this fiscal year.
Correct.
okay,
For
all
this
right.
fiscal year, Mayor, you have 2,500 left. Commissioner Hay has 1,500 and Commissioner Kelly has $850.
And I have to decide by Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
Hey, Chief
wanted to give
Ruder
some,
here. May I chime in a second, please? After the commissioner speaks, Chief Ruder wants to make a suggestion.
Go ahead and make it.
Thank you. As some of you may know, the fire department has instituted a residential Knox box program. With this program, we're going to be taking donations and so from community leaders and business partners, but we need to get it off the ground. So if any of the elected officials would like to help us do this, there are many folks in our community that can't afford the $100 for the residential Knox box. That allows us to use this special key without having to break the door down to make entry should there be a medical issue or a fire. It's a similar program that went down in Del Rey. So if any of you would potentially like to utilize those funds, they would be donated to the fire department's donation account and thereby brought to your constituents for that purpose if you so choose.
I choose to donate 1,000 of mine to it. For sure. Is that the max I can do, Maylee? Sorry, my little puppy's acting up.
No, that's not the max. You have 2,500, so it's up to you.
Okay.
Maybe are we still looking for money for the holiday baskets too?
We are looking for money for the holiday baskets. We're trying to push for 300 baskets this year, so it's going to cost a little bit more, and the turkeys cost the most. Even though we do get a good amount donated to us, we still do have to purchase the remaining amount. So usually they donate half and we purchase the other half. And so we do need money for that. And that would go towards the Friends of the Boynton Beach Library because they're the ones that they're the ones that help us with that or that initiative.
Well, I will email you, Maylee, because I will do it for the stuffed chief, and then I will do it for the holiday baskets. So I'll email you tonight.
Okay, perfect.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Maylee, I'll also contribute. I committed some to I'll get with you, but I committed some of that 850. So, but I will, I want to get that program off and running. So I am happy to contribute to that as well, and I'll get with you offline.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
And then
Thank you, Commissioner Kelly.
I can send an email to Commissioner Hay and ask him if, I don't think he's on.
Are we good to go?
Yep.
Okay. 5A, how many advisory appointments have we done? And did we do an advertisement on social media did we ever get clarity on that? Where we're advertising our advisory board appointments?
They have been advertised before. We haven't done it recently. To get with.
We need to get a redundancy policy where we just advertise them either on a quarterly basis or a monthly basis.
Okay.
Both on the marquee signs as well as social media. I think the commission put that forward, I want to say, a month ago.
Many times.
How many appointments do we have?
You have two for the Arts Advisory Board, one for the Building Board of Adjustments and Appeals. Like you have 3 for the Historic Preservation, or 2 regular and 2 alternate. None for Library, 3 for 2 spots on the Senior Advisory Board.
Okay, so we're actually getting some interest. All right, looks like Hay has the first one. Do you guys want to pull that up, Mayor? Do you guys want to take a look at those? I think the mayor has the art advisory appointment, and that's been vacant since 9/3. And then Commissioner Kelly has an alternate. There's only one, which would go to Hay for the building, and then Education and Youth, none. Historic Resource Preservation Board, Commissioner Cruz, she has an appointment. Commissioner Hay, we got 3 people. 2 are seeking 4th term waivers. One is Barbara Reedy, the other one is Michael Wilson. And Senior
we
Advisory
need
Board.
to clarify that Barbara Reedy would be seeking a waiver for not living in the city and also for a 4th term.
I'm not in support of people being on boards that don't live in the city.
Right. Well, that's something you'll have to vote on. And we tabled all of this last time, so we'll have to untable it. We wanted a full commission to, and we also wanted to clarify, when someone was seeking a waiver, to get the vote on the waiver before we do the nomination. So we'll just have to clarify. Maylee and I can work on that.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sean. We can move on. All right, moving on to consent. We have the ratification of fiscal year 25-26 CRA budget that should have been handled at the CRA meeting. Unless you guys want us to open up, and I'm not even sure how in depth we can go into the discussion on the CRA item. 6B
Well,
is
are we
going to
supposed to be doing a joint meeting?
We are at 5:30.
5:30.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
at 5:30. So 6B is authorization to reduce allowance for uncollectible accounts and accounts receivable. That's our write-off process and debt collection. 6C is MOU with solid waste, and that's just mirroring what the state statute change was, the Florida State Statute 180. And we're doing an MOU with the Solid Waste Authority of Palm Beach County, who handles all of our solid waste. 6D is going to be a settlement agreement for the full and final general release in the matter of Lawrence Michael Schramko versus the city of Boynton Beach, totaling $150,000.
Correct. And I emailed the commission. If anyone has questions, to please reach out to me and I'll be happy to answer those.
Okay. 6E is going to be the ILA agreement between the city of Boynton Beach, state of Florida, for the library in the amount of $37,000, authorizing the mayor to execute all future documents associated with the grant that do not increase the financial obligations of the city, subject to approval of the city attorney. 6G, scroll down, Andrew, please. This is going to be a Florida Rec grant in the amount of $200,000 for renovations to hydro tennis courts. And if awarded, authorize the city to accept the grant, authorize the city manager to execute all future documents associated with the grant that do not increase the city's financial obligations, subject to the approval of the city manager. Definitely use the $200,000. And you'll see later on, there's an RFP award for TM, I want to say tennis, to take over the operations of our tennis center out west. So 6H is going to be approving the joint lease agreement between the city and New Singular Wireless, PCS, use of property to install personal wireless services facility to replace the existing public safety tower at 515 Northwest 14th Court. That's the Rolling Green Yard. It's over at 14th Avenue, the 500 block of, I want to say 5th Street. It butts up to I-95. So, and Gail Moots did a marvelous job of getting Singular Wireless to pay for that. So that's kudos to her. 6I is going to be CBA agreements with the PBA, and that's through the police officers, the sergeants, and the captains of the police department. All three collective bargaining agreements could be disseminated to the commission upon request if you guys want to see them. They're a lengthy document. I want to say they're probably around 60 to 80 pages. So a lot of them are going to be redundant outside of the pay. That's going to be grievance procedures, things of that nature. So if you guys want them, please email myself, Andrew, or Adam, and we will furnish those documents. They're tentatively agreed upon by both the city and the PBA, and they're going for commission approval. 6J is going to be approve the adoption of the amended Exhibit A to the ILA agreement between the City of Boynton Beach and CRA. This is our blanket ILA we have. Anytime the CRA picks up any sort of additional cost that is passed on to them that we've agreed, and this is going to contain all of our CRA officers, the beautification individuals, the additional 4 code enforcement officers that they're going to be funding, is all going to be housed.
This is just for the CIP stuff.
Oh, this is just for Pence Park and the CIP?
Yeah.
Okay, so
they're going to work on a different one.
Okay, all right, so that's going to be the operational one that we're doing. Right. This is just CIP. Okay.
Yep.
And K is the final budget status report for the general fund and utility fund, year end June 2025. And these are unaudited. We won't start our audit until next year. So, and I want to say that audit's going to be due by June 30th, 2026 is when we need to have that audit done for 25. All right, moving on to 7A, authorizing the city manager to execute the renewal of the city's insurance policies, property liability insurance through Pidget. I will say, since moving from Garing over to Brown & Brown, we've saved about $200,000 on our property insurance. I want to say it went from 2.8 down to 2.6 million. So that's always a good thing. In the event we don't have any more storms, I fully expect there to be an additional savings next year. And I know both Steve, the legal department, and also Kendra Brown, they work with Brown & Brown on getting those savings to the city. So that's appreciated.
Dan, didn't we get some rebates too from them that they found some errors in some of our other policies that they took over and there was some errors and some contributions that we weren't correct.
Yes, that's correct. I don't have the full nominal amount, but you are correct, Commissioner Kelly. We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
The
Unless,
total savings was $220,000, and that will be in the city attorney's year-end report.
Okay, great. Thanks, Shauna.
Andrew or either Dr. Calcott, you guys want to take 7B, and I know Commissioner Cruz, this is going to be an item involving your district.
Sure, Andrew, you want me to take it on?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, so this is going to be, we're going to be doing a couple of these projects in different parts of the city. This one is in Leisureville area to basically get what we call pipe bursting. This method helps, you don't have to do open cut, which means there's going to be less issues for our customers, less invasive technology. To break open pipes, what you do is you put a pipe in there, you burst it, and so the old pipe goes away and the new pipe becomes the real pipe at that point. So that's the method we are going to be using. There are at least, I think we are doing around 3,000, little over 3,000 linear feet of pipe in different parts of Leisureville. There'll be, I think, 6 or 7 streets that we'll be working on. So if we have a presentation, if the commission so desires, we can do the presentation on Thursday.
Thank you guys for bringing this up. I will be pulling the item, but we don't have to take a very long time because we do have a lot of, we don't want to make the meeting too long. So if we can make a presentation, maybe like 2-3 slides, something, very short and sweet, that would be great.
Okay, we'll do that.
Thank you so much.
Do we want to leave it in consent or do we want to put it to regular?
Yeah, that's fine. We can pull it at the moment. When we
I'm
when we get to
okay
consent.
with pulling it now. I agree it should be
Yeah.
pulled, Commissioner Cruz, yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
All right, so 7C is our SCADA system that we use. Dr. Calcott, you can also speak on this item, but essentially what it is our consultant that comes in and helps us program and code SCADA for the operations and the security of our utilities department.
Yes, this is remotely how you manage and access your lift stations as well as for the plants and the source water wells. So this allows us to look at pressures throughout the system and look at where the pumps are coming on and off and if there is any kind of intrusion alarm in some areas. So depending on different things, so like Dan said, for security purposes as well as managing some of these stations throughout the city. And what we're doing is we're just asking for a limited extension because the city is going out to get a new invitation to bid for getting SCADA services. So until that gets in place, we're just requesting that we need to have a consultant on board in case we need any concerns or anything that they need to address for the system.
All right, can you scroll down, Andrew, if you don't mind? Thanks, sir. So we got a change order and this is 7D, and this is for our Stryker Medical Pro Care Services. I'll hand this over to Chief Bruder to go over. I want to say these are the 3 chest compression machines in addition to the gurneys, the electric gurneys that they have. That's what the added cost is going to be. The chest compression machines are at end of life and need to be replaced.
That is correct, sir. If anybody has questions, feel free.
No, I was just curious why there's such a big difference, why there's such a price difference. Do we not hold enough back?
No, these things have a shelf life and we don't have them on a program. A lot of our stuff, like fleet pre-funding would be, a lovely idea, even with our Scott Air Packs that which will be coming, before you soon. These are $1 million, $2 million items. It's just, difficult because the prices go exorbitantly high on them. And we did try to several times get grants for these items. And while you're waiting for grants, the price goes up. And unfortunately, this is the cost.
Okay, thank you.
All right, moving on. It's a piggyback agreement between the city and Warfield, Florida staffing, doing business as Action Labor Management for our school crossing guards. If Adam's on or the chief, like how many additional school crossing guards is going to come? Because this is an increase of probably about $75,000 to $100,000 from our previous contract with them.
Chief DeGiulio's here. This is not in addition to the current crossing guards we have. This is just an increase in their wages. And obviously, it's a BOCA contract, so we're piggybacking the rate. And it's a considerable rate increase from what they were getting paid prior. They're getting paid $16 an hour. This pushes up to $19 an hour. It allows them to be more competitive to what the sheriff's office provides, because that was some of the issues we had last year about proper staffing. But it does not include additional staffing. It's just the wage increases for this new contract.
What was the previous contract? Was it 350 or 375?
364.
It was 364.
Or 364, 368, around there.
How many total school crossing guards? I'm assuming since we have 9 or 10 schools, it's probably about 20 to 30.
We have 42.
42, okay. So 42 crossing guards for 400.
Pay for a supervisor.
Okay. All right, moving on. This is what I referenced earlier. This is the revenue share for the lease agreement between the city of Boynton Beach and FM Tennis LLC, doing business as FM Tennis Performance Center, to operate and manage the Boynton Beach Tennis and Pickleball Center located at 3111 South Congress Avenue. So this is essentially bringing in a private company that won the RFP to operate and manage our tennis center versus having the city operate. And I know we've gotten several complaints and some issues there, but we are going to be doing how much money comes with this. We're doing some enhancements over there and general maintenance before they take control. Correct, Andrew?
Correct. We have some CIP work we're doing over there. We also have money in the CIP for some new furnishings and things at this center. I believe the specifics on the contract, they're going to pay us a monthly rent, which I believe is about $6,000, and then we get a percentage share of the gross revenue, which I believe is 3%. And I have Craig and finance on if we need
I saw
any more
something
questions.
above about a grant for $200,000 for the tennis center.
That's correct. Yeah. We're submitting to it's a match grant and that's going to replace I want to say 6 of the courts.
Andrew, this is Craig Clark, Director of Recreation and Cultural Services. It's a grant, a one-to-one matching grant through the Florida Recreation Department Assistance Program through the State Environmental Protection Division. So the city would put up $200,000 and then they would put up $200,000 to match. And that would, our plan is to do all the courts down the road, but we're going to do 2 at a time. We just have to give them 45 days notice, FM Tennis, so that we can go in a timely manner if we do get the grant, if we are grant recipients, which we'll find out next June if we have been awarded or not.
Oh, next year. Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Andrew or Craig, real quick, how are they going to honor the rates that we have for the residents? How is that going to work as far as, our playing fees and all that? Are they honoring what we already have in place, or are they able to just do?
Yeah, we actually.
I'm on, Craig and Commissioner Kelly. I just want to kind of address, yes. They will honor the times that we have for the tennis facility to be open. All of the program will remain similar to what we were offering. So there will not be any service breaks to residents. So we have that in our agreement. And plus, they have been a regular vendor of our tennis facilities. So we worked with them for many years. So a lot of the customers that we had come into the tennis facility are customers of FM Tennis. So that I'm excited about this collaboration.
Okay, that's great. And then are there going to be any upgrades to any of the courts in the meantime, or are we waiting?
Yes.
For this, we're waiting for this grant. So there's not going to be any upgrades to the courts
Well,
in the meantime?
currently we are upgrading the lights that are surrounding the tennis facility.
Mhm.
And in addition to the agreement for FM Tennis to manage the facility, they have committed $250,000 of upgrades, in which we will be adding additional pickleball courts and having some additional hard courts adjusted. So there will be a significant amount of adjustments for that tennis facility. We're excited about the outcome.
Okay, yeah, because I know that, I mean, that's probably one of the biggest issues I think that we see at the tennis courts are because of the way our courts are, they require downtime for maintenance, and that causes us to go on weird rotations of our courts, and then we have, you know, people who can't use them. And so I just wanted to see if there was going to be upgrades even with, you know, without the grant, but I understand wanting obviously to wait until, you know, somebody gives us free money. We always like free money, but okay.
Yeah, Commissioner Kelly, this is Craig. There is a CIP plan to eventually redo all the courts, make them all hydro courts.
Right.
And the 200,000 will just be a bonus to us if we do get the grant.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Andrew R., you want to take 7H, which is the, or I'm sorry, 7G, which is the increase from 200 to 220,000 for our temporary agency?
Sorry about that. I couldn't get the mic unmuted. Yeah, so the solid waste division utilizes A&A Associates. After reviewing the spend, we've realized that they have exceeded the original approval threshold. So we're bringing it back to commission for approval. Like Andrew Mack had said before, this is part of the QA/QC, where we're really analyzing the total spend in each contract per vendor. So this is just for the ratification of the additional monies that we spent.
You can go over H, Andrew.
And 7H is authorize the mayor to sign all our renewal.
Yeah, so these are just basically renewals that we have for the life insurance company, extending the contract to September 30th, 2026. It's basically just part of doing business with the annual expenditure to 350,000.
Awesome. Thanks, Andrew. So I'm going to turn the mic over to Miss Amanda Radigan and also Gabe to go over your public hearing items. For a lot of these items are related to annexation of two parcels, one being Palmyra, and I think the other one is Bamboo Lane. One's west of Lawrence Road, and the other one I want to say is east of Federal Highway. So I'll give the mic over to them.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Amanda Radigan, Planning and Development. There are several items here. There are so many requests just because of how legally we had to break down each of the requests. But like Dan said, there's essentially three groups of requests in front of you. The first item, item A, is a text amendment. This text amendment is related to the annexation requests that follow. One of the properties that we are annexing is zoned residential agriculture. And in order to keep that property's rights whole, we needed to do some minor text amendments within our code, which would allow some very minor agricultural uses on his existing property. We did limit it to certain roads, certain size, and certain zoning. So it really only affects this parcel within the city. But it is necessary if we do want to approve the annexations in order to keep this property's rights whole. Any questions on the first text amendment before we move into the annexation items? Okay.
Not for me.
Okay, great. So the first set of annexation items, each annexation set, we are doing an annexation item, 2 future land use requests, and 2 rezoning requests. So each of these groups, each of the areas that we're annexing, there are 5 items, 5 associated items. So the first item, which is B, is going to be for the annexation of the properties clustered at Bamboo Lane. Bamboo Lane, it's about 14 properties. It is about 4.61 acres.
Can we click on the attachment, please? And is there a map?
Dan, if I could take control, I can share the presentation also, just so they can
Sure.
have some of the visuals also. Okay, let me open that up.
To stop sharing, you can share now.
Okay. Share. Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I might have some notes out to the side too, because I briefed myself. So this is Bamboo Lane. This is the area that we were talking about. So it is on the southern eastern part of the city off Federal Highway. It is comprised of, again, about 14 different parcels. And it's about 4.5, a little bit more than 4.5 acres. This annexation would add about $10 million into the taxable value for the city. And there are 2 different land use requests, so I can show you what those look like. Well, first, let me just go through a little bit of the brief of the presentation, and then I can be briefer on the next set because a lot of this is repetitive. This is a voluntary annexation. These are being done through the water service agreements where the city has been granted power of attorney, special power of attorney in order to do annexations on behalf of the property owners. I'll also just note that we did do the proper notifications to the county, and we actually noticed every single parcel that is proposed to be annexed here. And when we had the little blip last time, when we almost put it on the agenda, we actually had staff outside and were able to talk to about 8 to 10 different residents personally at that meeting also. Now, I was going to talk a little bit about service comparisons and the tax millage rates, how they'll change. Do you guys want me to go through that now, or do you want me to go through that on Thursday? I will keep going unless you guys have questions. So the proposal for the future land use and the rezoning. There are 2 different proposals because the properties on Federal are commercially zoned. So they are going to be proposed to go from the county's commercial land use to our commercial land use, which is local retail commercial. And from the counties, it's MR5, which is a medium residential, to our low density residential. Those are the 2 future land use categories that we are bringing them in as. And then the corresponding zoning districts would be from their CG, which is their general commercial, it would be going to our C3 commercial, and their multifamily would be going to our R2 commercial. And then I do have a series of maps just showing what that would look like once it is fully annexed and rezoned.
Amanda, I think Commissioner Cruz has a question.
Yes, Commissioner Cruz.
Thank you, Andrew. Yes. Can we go through each rezoning separately? Because it looks like this is a lot. There's a lot. And so My understanding with live local is if it's commercially zoned, then somebody can build up to, I think, the maximum height and density within a 1 mile radius, which this would put, I mean, as is, that's kind of the case already, right?
Yes,
Right.
exactly. So
Okay.
part of what we do when we study annexations, and we're deciding what land use and zonings to put on, one of the rules that we do have to follow is that we are not taking away any rights from the parcels as they exist.
Mhm.
That's why we're doing the text amendment to add some accessory agriculture, and we paired up our zoning districts with the county's zoning districts to make sure that we aren't removing uses from these properties. So the
Okay.
overall land use and zoning makeup isn't really changing. We are just
Okay.
applying the city's land
To our
use and
name per
zoning
se.
versus the county's, exactly.
Okay, thank you
So
for
if you do,
explaining that.
just so you could see it though, this map on the bottom, you can actually see how it would flow. So the parcels that are on federal are currently commercial and they will be maintained as commercial. And then the neighborhood behind that will remain as multifamily, low multifamily, road R2.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
That is all I have for Bamboo Lane. Unless there are any questions, I can move over to Palmyra. Okay. So it's a very similar setup with Palmyra. There are 5 requests here as well. It is the annexation and then 2 future land use amendments and 2 rezonings. Palmyra is in the northwest corner of the city, just south of Hypoluxo. It's actually a really unique site because half of this neighborhood is already in the city. Just to the south, this half of Palmyra is already within the city. The north part isn't. I don't really know why, but we're going to try and bring it all into the city now
I'm sorry,
with these actions.
Amanda, it's south of Hypoluxo, but it's west of, is that Congress? I can't read, it's very.
So Lawrence Road. That's Lawrence
Road, okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah. In this, and just, that black line that we're looking at here is actually the current city boundary. So the current city boundary ends on the east side of Lawrence. This would stretch it to the west side of Palmyra's community. So this blue area would now be engulfed within the city boundary and turn into that black line. This is a little bit of a closer view of it. This again is going through the same process. We are using our special power of attorney, which is within each of the water service agreements within this area. However, it is still a voluntary annexation request. We are again doing 2 different land uses and 2 different zoning districts. This one's a little bit easier to see the differences though, because this is already a planned unit development. Sorry, I thought I heard a question. So their current future land use is MR5, which is a medium residential that corresponds to our low density residential. So our future land use would be low density residential. And then the rezoning, there are 2 different ones. PUD, it's planned unit development in the county. They'll transition to the city version of planned unit development. And then there is 1 parcel. I'll actually show it to you on a map. I'll show it to you on this map here. So you can see here, everything in that light yellow is the low density residential. And then there's 1 parcel that fronts Lawrence. That is the existing parcel that is AR, which is a residential agriculture. That is going to be proposed to go to R1 AAB. And we added an residential agriculture as an accessory use in the text amendment, which is item A, in order to carry over some of the uses into R1 AAB as well. And again, we did put some other safeguards on that text amendment to make sure that we're not opening it up to all of that zoning district, although there's very little zoned with R1 AAB currently too. Commissioner Cruz, did you have a question?
Yes, Amanda. The question is, for agricultural uses, is there a difference in the taxes that those properties normally pay?
I don't believe so, just because it's based on the millage rate. So I don't believe that there would be any real difference. I don't think it's viewed differently than like, it's not like commercial versus residential. There'd be very little more that you could do with this parcel. So I don't think so.
Okay, thank you.
So this map would represent the zoning districts when they're done. It would go to the IPUD. As you can see, it's the same zoning and same land use as that is to the existing southern half of Palmyra. And then that one parcel that we're treating a little bit differently with the agricultural uses, accessory agricultural uses, which we're bringing in under R1 AAB. Are there any questions on any of the 11 items that have to do with annexation?
Have we gotten any opposition or support from the residents in those areas? What's been the feedback, if any?
The tone, yeah, very little. So we did get to speak to some of the residents at the last meeting. Gabe specifically spoke to them. We have sent out a few different sets of notices, and I will tell you what we sent out just so in case you get questions of the notifications that were sent out. So we sent out on July 28th a preliminary notification to the county. On July 28th, we also sent out the initial property owner notification where we told them that we were moving forward with annexation. And then we did send ordinance notices on August 20th to the county. We did the legal ads on August 31st, and we also did the public notice within 400 feet of either of these annexations on September 8th. So they've received several notifications. We have gotten very, very minimal direct feedback from them, from any of the residents or really anyone at all. I think maybe we've had 4 calls that were just asking questions. One was actually from the property owner that had the agricultural site. Again, he had questions about, the text amendment, making sure that his uses were going to be whole. And that was really it. There hasn't been very strong sentiment, at least from the property owners. That has been disclosed to us, at least.
Okay.
Well, and I haven't, thank you, Amanda. I haven't heard anything in District 4 with regard to Palmyra. I know that, this is a very unique situation, and that's why I was, fully in support of this, because it really doesn't make sense why this was not done when the neighborhood was first built. It's one whole neighborhood, has one HOA. And yet they have two different garbage companies on different days, and a different police department and a different fire department. And I'm sure it will be nice for the residents to have some continuity and knowing when their neighbor puts out their garbage, that they can put out their garbage too. And, it really just doesn't make sense. And I know we even looked at the figures as far as, and thank you for doing this side by side comparison. I think that that's really important to, to just silence any, opposition when it comes to, you're just going to increase our taxes, we're going to pay more money. When you look at truly what the difference is, if anything, it's very minimal, but then all the services that you gain by being part of the city it's really important for them to see that. And I think that that's, like you said, the ones that you have spoken to, it was more of like an educational meeting and less of a a back and forth, negative thing. So, so I haven't heard anything from District 4. So I'll keep you posted if I do hear anything, but I'm always pretty accessible, so. Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. And then my last question is, what's the situation with utilities? Are like they're already receiving, like they're already being serviced, right, by us, all of these, and that's why we're annexing.
Yeah,
Or you're
so
able to, I guess.
I'll briefly just talk about some services and some changes. And some of these changes will happen immediately. Some of the things that are in the tax roll take longer to change. We have to work with the property appraiser to have things kind of moved over. The goal is obviously to get it all squared away and corrected by the next tax cycle. Everything that we are proposing to annex is already within our utility service area and has signed water service agreements with the city. They are actually paying a 25% surcharge for their water services currently because they are outside of the city. Their water service cost will go down because they will no longer be getting that surcharge for being outside of the city. They will transition from Palm Beach County Fire and Police to City Fire and Police. Both departments have told me that they can take over services immediately and plan to. Trash is also ready to take over immediately. Their services would be comparable to what they have now in terms of how many days that they're picked up and what is picked up. And obviously, they'll be consistent with whatever is being serviced in the other half of the community. So our services are ready to get started as soon as this is approved, if it is approved. And we'll continue working with the county and the property appraiser to ensure that the tax rolls are corrected, that the some of the county debt items come off of their next bill, and the city millage rate would be added. This slide will be corrected to reflect the reduced millage rate once it's approved.
Thank you, Amanda. And for the, I guess for all of them, but more importantly on the east, are they all able to have regular sewage service, or like are any of them on what's that called, Andrew? The older stuff?
Septic, sewer,
Septic tanks?
septic and well, septic and well.
Septic and
Right.
well. Are any of those properties that are being annexed on septic and well?
If they were on septic and well, and this is maybe an oversimplification, we do have Dr. Calcutt there if I'm oversimplifying, but if they were on sewer or septic, then they wouldn't have water service agreements because they get those once they are getting our water and sewer services. So it is my understanding that everyone that we are annexing currently is serviced by our utilities department with our water and sewer services.
I've heard from people that have been annexed that are still on septic tanks. And so that's the reason for my question.
Oh, that
I-
could be. It could be that people are annexed and under septic. I heard Dr. Calcutt. I want to make sure I'm not over speaking. So
No, you're not, Amanda.
Okay.
What I'd like to just explain a little bit, if they have water agreements, then they are on water. If they have water sewer agreements, then they are on water and sewer. They could have septic, and that would mean that they don't have a sewer agreement with us. But usually, if we are able to provide them sewer services close by, then they can switch to move into, that's what our ordinance usually does, that they're required to move into and get the sewer services. Now, I know there is a cost involved whenever somebody moves from septic to sewer, so we don't try to push people into doing that. We work with them, we try and figure out what's the best way to do it. But it's a possibility
Yes.
that some of them may have septic and may not be on city sewer.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Calcutt. So that was kind of my concern, because what I've heard is that like getting rid of septic and going to regular sewage. Well, first of all, you have to have a lift station, right? That lifts the sewage. But also there's a significant cost of, I'm thinking maybe, I don't want to say the exact amount, but it could be up to $3,000 per home to get that done. And so I would like to know before the meeting how many of these homes are on septic, and what is their plan to, if we're going to annex, then we need to have a plan, and we need to, about annexing, like if we're annexing, right? But we need to do it responsibly. And if it turns out that there are people that are on septic, we need to think about these things, and we need to have a plan of how we're going to get these homes to have sewer, because that's if part of the reason for annexing is to provide those services, then we really, really need to have a plan in place. And so before we can have a plan, we need to have an understanding of what it is that we're annexing from a sewage perspective as well.
Sure, absolutely. I can get the count. If Gabe, do you know how many, if you're on, do you know how many are on septic?
There's not a number for on septic. I'm not aware of any being on septic at this time. Palmyra should be all on city, and the Bamboo should as well. The lots are too small to actually hold a septic on site.
Okay, so I'll verify, Commissioner, because I will double check at least these 14 parcels to see if any of them are on septic. And if they are,
Okay.
we'll address the concerns. The annexation doesn't necessarily force them to go on sewer, but absolutely, we should have a plan for how we want to transition them if they want to transition.
Absolutely, thank you. And I wanted to ask, and I think I've asked this question before, what's our inventory with current homes that have been annexed into the city, like right now, that are still on septic? Because that's something that we need to think about and plan for the future as we're continuing to annex. I want to get this information within the next couple weeks, and I did ask for this a while ago. I think it was probably months ago, but we always have a lot going on, so it's hard to always keep up with all the questions that we have. So
I'll
you
work with
know,
utilities to see what that looks like. We haven't done annexations in a very, very long time. The only annexations that we've done have been very, very minimal, and they've been at the request
some
of
of them are like
usually.
individuals, right? Like individuals
Yes,
annexing their
most of
homes.
them are. This is actually would be the first city initiated annexation we've
Mhm.
done in, I mean, at least the 10 years I've been here.
Mhm.
Everything else has been a developers or home owners or, business owners request to do so.
Mhm.
So if there are, properties that are on septic within the city, they have probably been that way since the incorporation of the city, or, there was
Since they
like 3
became,
major
yeah.
annexations within the history. But I
Gotcha.
can work with utilities to get some of those numbers for you.
Awesome. Thank you very
So
much.
just so that I understand, is the question, Commissioner Cruz, is that how many properties in the city already are on septic, or is it just connected with annexed properties that may still be on septic?
That's a great, thank you, Dr. Poonam. Yeah, I think both are important. It's kind of, I understand it's two separate questions and it might take longer to get both, but I am curious to see, because there have been homes that have been annexed and are still on septic, and then I now understand I don't know how many, if there are any homes that are, part of the city that are still on septic. So just curious on both ends. And my understanding is that, again, as Amanda mentioned, it would have probably been owner initiated or done, a long time ago. But if you guys have any questions, feel free to call me and I can, specify if there's any other questions. But thank you, guys.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. If there are no
Yeah.
more questions, I'll pass it over to Dan. Okay. Thank you
Yeah,
all.
thanks
And
for-
if anyone has any questions as we get towards the meeting, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Amanda. I know we're venturing down this path probably just shy of 2 years, I want to say. So I know we did a tremendous amount of due diligence. And I do want to thank all of you guys for the hard work. So this is kind of our first step into annexation. I don't think we've I can't remember. I know we looked at this back in 2010, I believe, and we never followed through with it. So this is kind of the following through portion. So I do want to.
Thank you, guys. And to follow up on you, Dan, I want to say I have been to Palmyra before, and I do know people that live there, and I do think that it makes a lot of sense for us to annex that area because, as you guys mentioned before, half of the trash cans are, city and half of them are county, and it's very confusing and as mentioned earlier by Commissioner Kelly as well. So I have been there before. And I can definitely see how that makes sense.
All right, we have one item I know the mayor asked to be pushed. I'll give the mic back to Commissioner Turkin. This is the end of the agenda unless there's any more questions. All right, Commissioner Turkin, you got the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up about the item I brought up earlier for discussion. To see if there's
So I remember the mayor and both Commissioner Cruz saying they were open to discussion. So there's no issue with either that's overall consensus to put that for. We just got to pick a date. Now, I know this agenda is going to have a lot of annexation items on it. Would you like to see that added for the date of this next meeting on September 18th with the budget and annexation, or do you want to push that to the next meeting? Because I know the mayor wanted, the mayor said, I don't know, she had to get off. The mayor did say she'd like to see it added on the following meeting, not this meeting.
I'm okay with that.
Commissioner Cruz?
What date did you say? I'm sorry.
The mayor said she wanted it not on this meeting, but she would be open to a discussion on the following meeting. And you were the overall, because Vice Mayor Hay is missing from this meeting. So it was you that said you'd be open to the discussion.
Following meeting's fine.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Kelly, do you have anything to add?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right, guys. Andrew, do you have appropriate direction?
Yes, sir.
All right. Does anyone else have anything else before we get off this meeting?
Nope. Thank you,
All right.
everybody.
Thank you guys
Thanks,
for all
guys.
the info.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Yep.
Bye-bye.